The psalmist says, my hope is in God and God's word. Then look at verse 82. He says, my eyes are fading. My eyes are failing. My eyes are failing. First, his soul was fainting. Now his eyes are failing. He has been waiting and watching for God to move. He's been looking for God to make a change in his life. He's been looking for God to come in and turn his situation around. Yet God seems to not move. He's basically and literally saying here that I've been watching for so long that my eyes are tired. And then he says, Lord, can you just comfort me? Can you just give me some comfort? My brothers and my sisters, can I tell us this morning that we have to learn how to trust God regardless of what you see or don't see. Yeah, I believe that bears saying again. We ought to trust him regardless of what we see or don't see. 2 Corinthians 4:16-18 says, therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. Then he says, fix your eyes on that which is unseen, but not on that which is seen, but rather that which is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. You've got to trust God regardless of what you see. In Chicago some time ago, there was an apartment fire. Apartment fire, girl trapped in the fire, smoke billowing up. But the firemen are not able, due to some malfunction, to get the ladder up to the girl. They bring out their mechanisms and tools and tell the girl, jump and we'll catch you. Girl can't see them. She says, no, I'm scared. I can't jump. They say, jump and we'll catch you. She says, no, I can't jump. And then the girl's father pulls up on the scene. He's looking for his daughter, and he hears her crying out, and he tells the fireman, that's my daughter up there. And the fireman tell him, listen, we're telling her to jump and we'll catch her. She's not trusting us. Can you talk to her? He says, baby girl, I need you to jump. And she says, Dad, is that you? Yeah, it's me. I need you to jump. They were going to catch you, Daddy. I'm scared. I can't jump, Daddy. I'm scared. I can't see you. He says, baby, but I can see you. We're down here. If you love me, trust me, and jump out of the fire. She jumped. They caught her safe from harm. And can I tell you, regardless of what you see, though things may look dark now, things may look dim now, God is still on the throne. God has not changed his name to I used to be or I once was. He's still I am. Oh, yes, sir. I am that I am. He still sits high. He's still looking low. God is still God. And we've got to know that he's in charge and he is still working things out for my good. Even though I can't see it now, I don't understand it. It looks dark. Everything looks bad. But I've got to trust that he's still working it out for my good. Not only was his soul fainting and his eyes failing, but he needed restoration. Yeah, look at what he says. He says, I have become like a wineskin in the smoke. Yeah, in other words, well, in those days, they made bottles out of animal hide. They made the bottles out of animal hide, and they kept water and wine in the bottles. And so when it gets exposed to smoke, a fire, it takes on an unpleasant odor and it contaminates the wine or the water. And then it becomes useless and you can't use it. And the psalmist says, listen, that's how I feel. I feel like a wineskin in the smoke. In other words, he's saying, I feel dry. I feel useless. I feel like I can't be used by God anymore. In other words, he felt contaminated. Can I ask you this morning, have you ever felt like you couldn't be used by God? Have you ever felt like you were in a dry situation? The problem with most of us is that when we get in a dry situation where nothing seems to work, nothing seems to go our way, we fall into the pit of despair and start fretting. But look at what the psalmist says. The psalmist says, even though I'm dry, even though I feel useless, even though I feel like I can't be used by God, the psalmist says, I have not forgotten your word. Yeah. See, we want God to move and move right now. And when he doesn't, we get angry with God and think God has forgotten about us. But the psalmist says, even though I feel dry and useless and contaminated, I have not forgotten about God's word. Yeah, I haven't forgotten God. So I told you just a minute ago that we've got to trust him regardless of what we see. But not only must we trust him regardless of what we see or don't see, you've got to learn how to trust him regardless of what you feel or don't feel. Yeah. This business, my brothers and my sisters, is not a feeling business. No, it's not a feeling business. Why? Because feelings are fickle. I'm up today, down tomorrow. But we've got to trust him regardless of how you feel. Yes, it's true. I wouldn't have a religion that I couldn't feel sometime. Yeah, that's true. But this is not based upon a feeling. We've got to trust him regardless of how we feel. You may feel bad, but I won't forget about God's word. I may feel useless, but I won't forget about God's word. I may feel sad, but I won't forget about God's word. I may feel alone and rejected, but I won't forget about God's word. I may be going up the rough side of the mountain, but I won't forget about God's word. I've got to trust him regardless of how I feel. The psalmist then prays a prayer of faith. This man was seeking. He cried out, help me. It's a prayer of faith because listen to the content of the prayer. Help me. Yeah, listen, you don't see anywhere in the prayer where he tells God how to help him. No, I was in the barber shop the other day, and I'm going to hurry my way to a close. I was reading the magazine, ESPN News, the magazine, and out of the magazine fell a small white sheet of paper, and it was a subscription to ESPN News, the magazine. And it's amazing how you can find God in the small and the mundane things. I was looking at that piece of paper, and I thought it said subscribe to ESPN News, the magazine, and I thought about that, and somehow I thought about our relationship with Jesus Christ. Can I tell you, we ought to be in the subscribing business and not in the prescribing business? Yeah, when you prescribe, I go to Walgreens because my head hurt. I get myself some aspirin. My sinuses are messed up. I get myself some Benadryl. That's prescribing. I diagnose myself, get myself what it is that I need. But we ought to be in the subscribing business. Yeah, when I subscribe to ESPN News, the magazine, I can't call them up and tell them what articles to write. I can't call them and tell them what articles to put in the newspaper. I can't tell them what photos to use. I can't tell them what color they ought to make the cover. All I do is go to my mailbox and get what they give me. And that's what we have to do. Tell God what you want and understand in his wisdom and knowledge and power that he knows just what you need. The psalmist says, help me. Doesn't tell him how to